From the rugged mountains in the Horn of Africa, a dream took a flight. Imagine a nation emerging from its past, daring to envision a future connected to the globe. February 1946. A single Douglas DC-47 Skytrain takes off, charting a course from Cairo to Asmara towards a future that no one could have fully imagined. Ethiopian Airlines. A dream that against all expectations conquered the African skies and reached the farthest corners of the world. A career born from modest beginnings that grew to become Africa's most powerful aviation force, a product of strategic foresight, relentless ambition, and operational excellency. A story of resilience, innovation, and an ending pursuit of excellence. This is the true story of the rise and dominance of Ethiopian Airlines. This video is mainly based on an article by Wikipedia, link in the description. Ethiopian Airlines is ebbed in the country's rich heritage and captivating history, wrapped within the premium fabric of a rich culture, sovereignty, dating as far back as the days of Emperor Haile Selassie. In the aftermath of liberation, the visionary leader understood the power of connection. He saw an airline not just as a mode of transport, but as a symbol of progress and prestige, a vital link to the world. And as part of the modernization effort, Emperor Haile Selassie reached out to a number of countries to help him establish an airline. In a time when roads were scarce, the idea of a national airline was nothing short of a revolution. Haile Selassie was ready for the challenge nonetheless. And in 1945, the Ethiopian government negotiated with Transcontinental Air Transport and Western Express or TWA on the idea of establishing an airline in Ethiopia. September 8, 1945, TWA signed an agreement with American historian and foreign affairs advisor to Ethiopia, John Heathway Spencer, to establish a commercial aviation company in Ethiopia. December 21, 1945, Ethiopian Airline or EAL was born, and as they say, the rest is history. With an initial investment of 2.5 billion Ethiopian currency or ETB and 2,500 shares, the company was 100% owned by the government of Ethiopia but run and managed by American expatriates. Engineers, pilots, accountants, and the general manager were all from TWA. EAL started off operating 5 DC-47 Skytrain aircraft bought from the US government. The airline started off with short-haul regional flights. Some of the main destinations included Asmara, Djibouti, Aden, Khartoum, and Cairo. The performance was impressive and the fleet kept growing as more C-47 Skytrains were added. Henry Bruce Obamila replaced Holloway as the general manager in June 1946, and Walden Ginny Golien became the general manager in 1947. Massive expansion followed with the acquisition of 7 more DC-47 Skytrains. Then, the introduction of charter flights to Jordan and Bombay, with a number of international destinations added to the route network as well. The airline flew as far as Aden, Karachi, and later in Israel. By the end of 1949, the airline served tens of routes with a fleet of 12 Douglas DC-47 Skytrains, posting a profit of 40,000 British pounds. At the turn of the decade, Ethiopian Airlines took long-haul flights more seriously. They started off by acquiring a 1 million loan from Exim Bank and purchased Convair Air 240s aimed at operating long-haul flights. 2 CV-40s named Eagle of Ethiopia and Haile Selassie I entered the fleet in 1950s, and by May 1952, the fleet consisted of Dreamliner 240s and 9 Douglas DC-3s operating flights to as far as Athens, Greece. The airline purchased a third Dreamliner 240 from Sebana for $60,000 and inaugurated a self-owned maintenance facility in 1955. Still in 1955, Vic Harrell succeeded Golian as the general manager of the company and felt the need for the carrier to add newer and larger aircraft. 2 Douglas DC-6Bs were ordered in 1956 for $4 million, with an option for a third using part of the $85 million loan from Exim Bank. In 1957, a third DC-6B was also purchased. There is an intriguing story about 1957 in the history of Ethiopian Airlines. The airline was asked to take a Lockheed L749. The aircraft had been given as a gift to Emperor, who declined it. Ethiopian paid $1.6 million for the aircraft, and it was incorporated into the fleet on 4th June 1957 as Flight 3, but fate had other plans. On July 10, 1957, the plane was destroyed by fire when it crashed on its belly 49 kilometers from Khartoum city within minutes of takeoff. This would go on record as the airline's first major accident. On January 1, 1959, EAL joined International Air Transport Association or IATA, further emphasizing their ambition. The 1980s saw Ethiopian Airlines dominate the African skies with a fleet of modern jets. With the arrival of the de Havilland Canada DHC-5 Buffalo in the early 1980s and the acquisition of the wide-body Boeing 767s, the airline was way too far and too strong for the competitors. The airline had already started a plan to modernize their fleet using modern aircraft like the Boeing 767, 737, and ATR-42 and Twin Otters DHC to replace aging and outdated planes like the Boeing 720s. Ethiopian became the first African carrier to order the Boeing 767 and the Boeing 767-200ER. The first of these aircraft to be delivered set a new distance record for a twin jet flying 12,100 kilometers non-stop from Washington, D.C. to Addis Ababa on delivery June 1, 1984. In 1990, the airline secured a $90 million credit from the African Development Bank for the expansion of the main airport in Addis Ababa. 5 more aircraft were added to the fleet, making Ethiopian the first passenger airline to receive the delivery of the Boeing 757 freighter. By the late 90s, the airline was flying to Bangkok, Beijing, Johannesburg, Copenhagen, New York, and Washington, D.C. The frequent flyer program called Sheba Miles, named after the legendary Queen of Sheba, was launched. Through political shifts, pandemics, and regional conflicts, Ethiopian Airlines has remained profitable, resilient, and entirely government-owned. This is a rare feat in aviation, best proven by examples like Kenya Airways, Air Tanzania, and South African Airways, who are struggling just to see another day. Some, like Uganda Airlines before recapitalization, Nigerian Airways, Ghana Airways, and Zimbabwe Airways, haven't even lived to see the present day. The airline continues to outpace its continental rivals and is increasingly challenging on the global stage, with a fleet of over 140 aircraft flying to more than 155 destinations worldwide. Their fleet size is almost twice that of their closest rival, Egypt Air, with 78 airplanes. For the operational year 2013 to 2014, Ethiopian Airlines was ranked the most profitable airline in Africa and the 18th in the whole world, with a profit of $228 million, a recipient of Skytrax's Best Airline in Africa for 7 consecutive years, Best Business Class in Africa for 6 years in a row, and Best Economy Class in Africa for 6 years consecutively, and the Best Economy Class onboard catering. The airline is by far the best in African airspace. Over 17 million passengers from around the world flew Ethiopian Airlines between 2013 and 2024, an increase of 23%, generating a revenue of $7 billion. Headquartered at Bole International Airport at Addis Ababa, which also serves as the airline's hub, Ethiopian Airlines has been a member of the International Air Transport Association (IATA) since 1959 African Airlines Association (AFRA) since 1968 and a member of the Star Alliance since December 2011. They have a track record in safety, pilot training, in-flight services, and competitive ticket prices that their competitors elsewhere struggle to match. The airline has had its low moments though, including a number of fatal accidents with causes ranging from hijack, human error, bad strikes to manufacturer's error. The first fatal accident occurred on July 15, 1960, when a DC-47 Skytrain crashed en route from Bluchi to Jima. Pilot error was cited as the cause of the crash. The captain was considered to have misjudged the weather and equipment capabilities for the DC aircraft Flight 372. There have been a number of other fatal accidents since then, including one in 1996. A Boeing 767 bound for Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire was hijacked by 3 men and ordered to fly to Australia. The plane didn't have enough fuel. Pilots rejected. The captain and his assistant fooled the hijackers and chose to fly the plane along the coastline of the Indian Ocean, finally attempting a water landing near Galloway Beach after the plane had run out of fuel. The landing failed, unfortunately, resulting in 125 fatalities near the Comoros Island. Flight 409, a Boeing 737-800 scheduled for Beirut, Addis Ababa, plunged into the Mediterranean Sea at Rafik Hariri International Airport shortly after takeoff in stormy weather, killing all 90 souls on board, including the pilot and crew. But the worst was yet to come. March 10, 2019. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashes near Bishoftu 6 minutes after takeoff from Bole International Airport, killing 157 passengers and crew on board. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 was just 4 months old, scheduled as an international flight to Nairobi. This remains the worst crash in the history of the airline. The cause of the crash was a faulty MCAS system combined with its non-declaration and pilot training by the manufacturer and inadequate verification by the US Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. The passengers boycotted the MAX 8 planes globally, leading to their grounding from the global airspace. Dennis Muhlenberg was fired from his position as CEO of Boeing following the crash.
There hasn't been a day where I don't think about me being in the same plane with my family. Today, I do live to keep their memories. I can't have peace.
Ethiopian Airlines keeps climbing the ladder of success and has become the beacon of glory for Africa. But they are not about to let this blind their efforts for the future. Expansions at Bole International Airport are already underway. Once completed, the facility will accommodate 22 million passengers a year, overtaking South Africa's OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg. Ethiopian Airlines is focusing on ambitious growth and expansion under its Vision 2035 plan, aiming to become a top 20 global aviation group. This involves significantly expanding its fleet and route network, increasing passenger and cargo traffic, and diversifying into related services. As part of their 2035 vision, the aviation giant aims at investing in a state-of-the-art maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility, the MRO, with a vision to become the leading MRO service provider in Africa, capable of handling the A350 airframe, GenX engine overhaul handling, and building capacity on the PW150 engine. The group has continued to expand its footprint across Africa by developing strategic hubs across the continent, owning a 49% stake in Malawi Airways and a 45% stake in Zambia Airways. Further investments in Togo's Aske Airlines in 2018 and shares in Nigeria Airways confirm the greater ambitions of the Ethiopian group. There are also plans to manage Air Djibouti and Guinea Equatorial Airlines, as well as the establishment of South Sudan's flag carrier. The airline is looking at sustainability too. In March 2025, the airline had signed an agreement with Archer for a project worth $30 million. The companies will work together to build an air taxi network in the region. This will see an initial deployment of Archer's Midnight aircraft, a type of electric vertical takeoff and landing eVTOL aircraft. According to BBC, the average age of Ethiopian Airlines fleet is just 5.4 years, compared to 13.5 years for British Airways, 15 years for United Airlines, and 10.7 for American Airlines. The airline group is investing heavily in new and modern aircraft, including the Airbus A350-900, the Boeing 777, the Boeing 787-9, and the Boeing 737 MAX. Today, Ethiopian Airlines is not just a flag carrier of a country. It's the pride of the continent, a lifeline for the continent's skies and those that rely on her for business, family, and health. It has taken 78 years of meticulous commitment and untiring effort to reach this far and still counting. While other African carriers collapsed due to mismanagement and corruption, Ethiopian Airlines invested in self-sufficiency, building Africa's largest aviation academy, a cargo hub, and a modern MRO center. It now dominates the skies over Africa, operating more routes across the continent than any other airline does or has ever done. What do you think of Ethiopian Airlines? Have you flown any of their planes recently? Let us know in the comments below. Consider liking and subscribing, or even sharing this video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting this channel.